sometimes the thing that appears to be the best choice, the most obvious choice for us, ends up not being quite the right thing for us. And instead, the very thing we've been discarding, the thing that we've been pushing on the side, considering maybe thinking that it's not good enough or that it wouldn't be for us, ends up being the very thing that we need. Have you ever had that happening? This is happening with me and my son at the moment when it comes to secondary school choices. He's finishing primary school. We just have a month to do the application up until end of October. We have 3 choices of schools to make. My son knew what he was going to, the school that he wanted to go to. It's the school his friends are going opposite his primary school. He's going to a Catholic primary. He was going to go to a Catholic secondary. It was a great school, good facilities, good reputation, until we saw a school that is non-faith school in a catchment area that we both fell in love with, particularly him. It is such a different school to anything we experienced. And we literally went there on the open day to write it off, to say, okay, we ticked it off the list. So that we kind of at least said that we've at least explored it, so what was going on. But we didn't think that it was going to be any of our 3 choices. And it was such an interesting reminder and a lesson that sometimes we are too close to ourselves to see what we want, or to even consider that something that is in alignment with us and for us, something that is good for us, we're not necessarily going to see it straight away. And think about all the times in your life where that has happened. I remember that happened to me years ago when I went to a warehouse of crystals. I was going to buy a big amethyst piece. And just as I walked in, there was 5 pieces of amethyst, large ones. The one that I ended up buying was the one that was completely not of interest to me when I walked in. I went into the rest of the warehouse, checked out all the other crystals, picked 1 or 2, or whatever. I think I got about 20 crystals that day. Picked a few, looked around, and at the end I went back, and the pieces of crystals that were there was 2 that I thought I was going to be investing in, and I ended up getting the one that it wasn't of interest at all when I walked in. It was not the color. Normally, amethyst is associated to the purple color that we know, that bright purple color. It was more of a brownish purple, had a different shape. But I knew by the end of it, that was the right crystal for me. Think about it when that happened with partners, right? Where maybe the obvious choice ended up not being quite the right one. And the one that we were just not even like looking at in a particularly interesting way just somehow grew on us, or something just on a deeper level spoke to us. It just didn't happen immediately. And that's an interesting lesson around giving things a chance, reflecting, sitting with the energy of something. Because when we choose with the truth of the inner being. We're not just choosing with our minds. And I think when we make sometimes obvious choices, it's the mind or the ego speaking as opposed to our inner being. And our inner being is really essentially what's in alignment for us, what is good for us, what's going to help us thrive. And that's the bit that sometimes we're a little bit disconnected to. And that's why it might not feel as an immediate choice to start with, because we kind of choose through a rational kind of minds most of the time. So it was an interesting lesson for us. It was an interesting reminder that our inner being is the one that chooses, an interesting reminder to give things a chance, to kind of go and visit the school, do the thing, explore an option before writing it off, and sitting with it to see what's happening here. What is this feeling like? When we went to this secondary school that we were not even considering, we were really impressed with the facilities. It was quite modern. It's also an academy, so it's not just taking the guidelines, rules, and regulations of the local authority. It has external bodies and organizations and partnerships, people that come into the school to offer guidance, to do workshops, to sort of really give steps for growth for kids. There's a lot of organizations and a lot of entrepreneurial activity going to that school, and really kind of encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit for children. It was just such an interesting thing. It didn't feel very British in the way that I experienced the English system to be. And I really liked that it felt a little bit more diverse and kind of had these other influences. And my son really loved it. So it was so interesting to see that. And one of the things I would say is that when something is chosen by us, by our inner being, the truth of our inner being, it feels at home, and it feels like it might not feel ego based alone. It might just feel a calm feeling in your body. It will feel like, oh, yeah, this feels really right for me, you know? And the reason I say it like this is because sometimes we judge who we are on a deeper level, even on an unconscious level. We might not really kind of necessarily feel fully accepting of ourselves. So when we kind of come across these options that we might discard or might not be too quick to choose, it's partly because there's a part of ourselves that we haven't fully felt at home with. So these kind of options will not necessarily stand out in the same way. That's why it's worth giving it more of a chance, and allowing some time to ruminate with something as opposed to making a quick choice. Just go and visit the thing, uh, do the workshop, explore the option, and then decide. And then after feeling into it, it's better to make that decision. So I'm curious to know where you've experienced this in your life yourselves. Please let us know. I'm curious to know how you dealt with it. And if you made a choice that wasn't the right one, did you go ahead and then change it? Did you go and say, oh, no, sorry, I made the wrong choice. I should be doing this rather than that. I should be dating him rather than him, or whatever it is. So I'm curious to know whether you experienced that in your life. And just let me know below in the comments. I'd love to know, and curious to know about your process in this. It's been a very interesting one for us, and it's really given us a lot of peace coming to the realization that this is the right school. Everything just feels so aligned for it, and we're very excited. So just wanted to share this little lesson with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Speak to you soon.